But there's also nothing wrong with if my voice didn't sound as perfect as they wanted it to be, there would be nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a deaf person sounding deaf or sounding as they are. It's just that society has these standards of how people should talk and people should speak and almost force people to conform to these standards. So if my mom wasn't pressured to get me speech therapy, I don't think she would have. So it really just comes down to what society thinks, and then we have to fit into those molds. Do you agree or not so much?
I'm gonna disagree with you. I feel
Okay.
like our main goal of life is kind of to blend in with the most amount of people because
Mm-hmm.
language we both know is a big barrier of entry into anything, and if you're mumbling something or anything, like people will dismiss you right away, and like,
Hearing loss is pretty bad. So I have bilateral severe to profound sensorineural hearing loss. I was born with it, and when I was younger, my I could get by with hearing aids and it was fine. And then as I've gotten older, my audiologist has informed me that my hearing has slowly gotten worse over the years.
uh,
So eventually I may need cochlear implants, but for right now, I'm just chilling with hearing aids and it works for my lifestyle. Yeah, and it's just all that extra brain power sometimes that's required of me to, or for example, if I'm talking to someone new or I'm talking to someone that has an accent or maybe it's a darker room or they're talking really fast or slow and it's just different from the, not to use the word normal, but like normal speech pattern of just like your regular average person because there's all those deviations in it. Those are
uh,
factors that go into how much brain power I have to use for that conversation. And so at the end of the day, if I'm using a lot of brain power for one day, I get home and I'm like, hearing aids out, immediately captions on, no more sound for the day, I'm clocked out. Here, most of the time with my hearing aids, I hear that a sound has happened. I just don't understand or recognize what that sound is. So someone walks into the room and they start talking to me. I hear noise, but my brain is just it doesn't know what that sound is. And usually it
huh.
takes me physically turning around and seeing what that sound is for my brain to then understand, oh, someone walked into the room and they're now looking a little bit confused. They probably started talking to you and now they're waiting for your response. So it's very much my ears are there, but my eyes and all my other senses are overcompensating for that. And that's not, it's something that isn't natural. But then when I got to college, obviously you're starting from ground zero where you go to
Mhm.
a school, yeah, you know a few people, but it's not really anything. And so that's really where I had to develop my own self advocacy of the microphone's not on. Katie, you have to stand up in front of this 400-person lecture hall and just say, hey, you need to turn this on because you're not going to be able to hear otherwise. So college really forced me outside of my comfort zone with that self advocacy, but I'm so thankful for it because it gave me that confidence to now have a platform on social media to be able to do it for myself.
But there weren't really any deaf people in the media that used listening and spoken language and used hearing aids or cochlear implants, and so I decided I want to be that
Mhm.
person for other people. I want to be that role model for children and parents to come to you and look up to you and realize a person with hearing loss that has hearing aids can do it too, even if that's not the conventional version of deaf that you see in the media.
Should we recreate a listening hell?
What do you mean by that? Like,
So like, I'll give an example. So like, a party would be a would be a listening hell for you.
I'm trying to think what else. Like a noisy cafeteria, like school
Mm.
lunch, for example, could never hear what anyone was saying at the table ever. So I would just sit there with like my little sandwich, being like, "Oh yeah, I totally know what's going on, everybody," and then nope, no idea what anyone's saying. There's another funny story is obviously the range of the microphone is pretty decent. So if someone goes outside of the classroom but they stay in the hallway pretty close, I can still hear what was going on. And there'd be a lot of instances where a student would do something bad. This was like second grade. A student would do something bad, and the teacher would be like, "All right, let's go in the hallway. I have to reprimand you now." But they would still be wearing the microphone and they wouldn't turn it off.
Oh.
So I'm in the classroom, the cool kid, hearing literally everything that's going on,
Oh.
giving everybody the scoop of what's going on, and they're just in the hallway, like laying into the student. And at one point, people would literally come around because it was so loud in my ears that if you put your ear next to it, you could hear. So I would have like 10 people just like on my head with their ears to me.
Are your hearing aids battery powered or are they rechargeable?
Batteries. Batteries. I am a very big advocate for battery. I don't love the rechargeable because I like travel a lot, so I don't like having to bring the like battery
Yeah.
recharger thing with me when I can just have packs of hearing aid batteries like anywhere I could possibly be. So it's more convenient for me to have.
Hello, welcome to my podcast, Tim Waits, one Joe Stooch. I am Joe Stooch. I'll be giving a mic to Katie. Katie is hard of hearing, so I will talk extremely loud for the rest of the episode. A Russian adoptee who was born deaf, but due to awesome technology, wear 2 hearing aids for severe hearing loss. I also have severe hearing loss, so there's going to be a lot of what and pretending we heard, so we will just smile and pretending like we heard something. Um, so let's so it, hearing loss is kind of a spectrum. I do know hearing aids do help a lot with sound, but everyone has a different hearing capacity, I guess you would call it. So like, how good or bad is your hearing?
I was about to make the joke and say, can you repeat everything that you just said? Because I didn't hear that. But no, I
I
did.
beat you to it.
My hearing loss is pretty bad. So I have bilateral, severe to profound sensorineural hearing loss. I was born with it, and when I was younger, I could get by with hearing aids and it was fine. And then as I've gotten older, my audiologist has informed me that my hearing has slowly gotten worse over the years.
Uh-huh.
So eventually I may need cochlear implants, but for right now, I'm just chilling with hearing aids, and it works for my lifestyle.
Well, I guess I just never meet people that are deaf, so I wouldn't know, but I wouldn't think hearing loss could get worse, but kind of makes sense because everything else gets worse, like our eyes get worse, so I guess hearing loss could get worse.
Yeah, definitely. And everybody's just different. Like some people, they're born with hearing loss and it stays stable and they never have age-related hearing loss and whatever. And other people, it's just progressive and randomly their hearing gets way worse and there's no way of predicting it. So I'm just rolling with it. But
I guess that's the only way to do it. I wonder if, let's say that your hearing loss, you said it got worse. So I wonder if the technology improved enough to, like, you mentioned before that you might need cochlear implants. I wonder if, like, technology improved so much that, like, it's preventing you from getting cochlear implants since it's, like, not needed, because that's more surgical.
that's a really good point that, like, you mean the technology is compensating whatever loss.
Yeah.
Like, as the it's almost like opposites. Like, as the technology gets better, the hearing loss gets worse, but it still stays at the same level. I
Yeah.
would love for that to happen my entire life. I don't know how probable that is, but that would be great.
I mean, we do have to talk that technology in hearing aids has improved dramatically, like, I think, like, the last decade, like, so much.
Yeah, I mean, every time I would get new hearing aids, I would always say to my mom, why are you pronouncing your S sound so clearly? Or why are you saying this now? You weren't before. And then it was that aha moment of, no, Katie, you just weren't hearing these sounds before, but now you can. And with every pair, my speech has also gotten better, too, which is good.
Yeah, that's interesting you mentioned your speech because I feel like your speech. Okay, I know I read an article about you and you see that the better you hear, the better your speech because you're able to imitate better.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because I just feel like you just speak the same because, like, I had speech impediment when I was younger and I could hear, like, everyone normally, but I couldn't speak properly, and it's like a habit kind of thing where you have to, like, force your body to, like, speak in a, I guess, proper way, just so you can speak and so you can speak normally and people can hear you. So it's like it's very, like, you're forcing your body to do something different. I don't
Yeah.
know. It can be kind of like, every time you go to the bathroom, you go number one and number two, and it's like, hey, let's change it up, and you
Yeah.
go number two and then number one. I don't know why I thought of that as a first analogy, but yeah, so it's interesting that your speech got better just from hearing other people. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for me and a lot of other deaf people, it's the case that the reason why this is a whole conversation we could have, but the reason that I speak so good is because my hearing aids help me enough to be able to do that. But I fully support the statement that if I couldn't hear well at all. If my hearing aids really didn't help me that much, I don't think my speech would be to the level as it is. But that also came with years of speech therapy and me not wanting to do it. And I've had conversations with people where they said, oh, you could use the tune-up. You could go back to speech therapy. But there's also nothing wrong with if my voice didn't sound as perfect as they wanted it to be, there would be nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a deaf person sounding deaf or sounding as they are. It's just that society has these standards of how people should talk and people should speak and almost force people to conform to these standards. So if my mom wasn't pressured to get me speech therapy, I don't think she would have. So it really just comes down to what society thinks. And then we have to fit into those molds. Do you agree or not?
I'm gonna disagree with you. I feel
Okay.
like our main goal of life is kind of to blend in with the most amount of people because language people know is a big barrier of entry into anything. And if you're mumbling something or anything, like people will dismiss you right away. And like if you're able to practice your speech, and I do understand there are people that have speech impediments or that can overcome, but there are people that can work on it and such. And I feel like you can't have society cater to you. You have to go with society because if people don't understand you, they're not gonna want to hire you and do it or even talk to you. And like it also comes off that if you don't talk well, like you can say you come from like a poor neighborhood or like like you're poor, or you were born in the ghetto, or like so you want to be more just to talk properly because like the last thing you want is someone to say what or did not talk to you anymore just because you can't speak well. Like, you could be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't speak well or have a way to communicate, you're kind of like useless.
Kind of. I mean, that also goes with changing other people's perspectives too, and that's part of my whole platform of showing people that yeah, deaf people might do things differently, but we're doing it in a way that works for us, and it's not the disability that's the problem, it's the fact that the world is inaccessible to the disability and people aren't like accepting of the fact that there are differences. So like I totally get what you're saying also, but on the like same note, it's kind of a them problem. At least in my opinion, it's a them problem if they don't accept you. Like, do I really want to be around people that don't accept me for who I am and my access needs? No. So I'll go find somewhere that will.
I mean, I can switch things around and use like accent, for example.
Yeah.
Like if you have a very thick accent, like I can't understand you and I can't like talk to you. It's not like I hate the person or anything. It's just I can't understand you and like if there's a way for you to make yourself sound better, like you should do it for the betterment of society. Like you can't have society like you're such a deaf people are such a small group. You can't change society about you. Like it's either you have to go with them or you have to become part of a subgroup. And I'd rather become the large majority instead of minority of it. And so that's why I worked really hard when I was growing up. Like my whole advocacy page really is the realness of like the world and the society. And when I was growing up, I was being like a little piece of shit. I'd be like, oh, people can understand me, and like I'd be like, oh, they should cater to me and all that, and and then I wasn't taking my speech therapy seriously at all or anything. And she sat me down and be like, people like when you're younger it's okay, but when you get older, if people don't understand you, they're not gonna want to talk to you. They're not gonna want to give you opportunity and such. And it's like you have to sit down and work on this because it affects the rest of your life. And like if yeah, like if they don't understand you, they're just not gonna want to talk to you. And I mean, I have so many other things against me too with my disability, and if they don't understand me, they're just not gonna want to talk to you. And you can kind of see it with other people. If you don't understand them, you don't want to talk to them because it's just really hard to understand them, or it's just a bit communication. And I do get, and so like that's why I work really hard to work on my speech impediment. And I would say I'm like 90% perfect. Like it's good for me because I also do all these episodes. I edit all my podcasts, so I can actually see my speech. You know, like some days I'll have good speech days, and some days I'm just like dropping the ball on everything, and it's really embarrassing to see. And sometimes I have to do captioning, and I'm like, I don't even know what I said. You know, like people are generally nice, and like sometimes they can like piece words together or understand you, but like it's not society's job to try to cater to you. Like you should work on yourself too to be the best that you can at your ability. But I do understand there are some speech impediments that are just, it's hard to say if they didn't work hard enough or is it some, I do think out there are some that just can't outwork their speech impediment. It's just, I don't know, it's hard, I don't know if it's like a genetic thing or is I don't know, it's like a weird brain problem. I don't know. It's really hard to like explain what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I think it just depends, like person to person. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own thing. But I liked what you said earlier about how things can change day to day with your disability, and I'd love to expand on that too with hearing loss. There's some days where I have really bad days where I don't want to talk to people. Like it's really hard for me to understand speech, and it's just like a bad hearing day with all the listening fatigue. And then there's other days where my hearing is perfect and it's great and I can hear everything that everybody says and I'm not drained. But sometimes we focus too much on the good days, where it's also important to talk about the times that are tough. And like I'm really fatigued at the end of the day, and share those aspects on social media. The disability can change day to day as well, because it totally can.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of unique that we have we are both deaf in different ways, but I can relate to the fatigue that you have of the hearing loss. But I do understand that I think my hearing is better than yours, where I don't have that fatigue, where I think that people don't realize that if you're not deaf and that you're hearing sound, your brain is kind of more in overdrive to like hear things and try to understand things, and like especially in speech, like you're really focusing on like what they're saying and all that, and that does contribute to fatigue. So I can't relate to the fatigue, but I do understand that why you would be fatigued at the end of the day. Like if you go out at like a restaurant and such, that can be really fatiguing for you. Just like you're trying not to be a piece of shit and you want to listen to it, but like you're also like wanted to, you generally want to hear the person, so you're trying like all your effort to try to zone in and focus on that person.
Yeah, and it's just all that extra brain power sometimes that's required of me to, or for example, if I'm talking to someone new, or I'm talking to someone that has an accent, or maybe it's a darker room, or they're talking really fast or slow, and it's just different from the, not to use the word normal, but like normal speech pattern of just like your regular average person, because there's all those deviations in it. Those are factors that go into how much brain power I have to use for that conversation. And so at the end of the day, if I'm using a lot of brain power for one day, I get home and I'm like, hearing these out immediately, captions on, no more sound for the day, I'm clocked out.
Oh, that never occurred to me to take my hearing aids out and like just like like people like take their pants and shoes off. I just never like thought to take the hearing aids out. I always
take them out. Put
really
them away.
Okay.
It's great, and it's something that I look forward to at the end of the day. And my friends and I, sometimes one of them will call me and it'll be like 9 o'clock and I'll be like, nope, clocked out for the day, call me tomorrow, I'm done. So it's really nice to have that extra layer of nope, no more world for the day, I'm in my own zone, and that's it.
Yeah, I never heard someone take their hearing aids out earlier than bedtime because did not wanting to hear sound, because I don't know, I feel like hearing aids to me is kind of like a blessing.
Yeah.
Like to be able to hear. So I never heard of someone not wanting to hear, like in terms of like to relax. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. There are some people that wear them for their entire waking hours, and that's them. There's also some people that only wear them for when they're having conversations with people, and then they take them out immediately. And that just goes back to deafness in the spectrum, and everybody's different, and they all have their different preferences when it comes to what they want to hear, when, and how long.
So I guess it's like if I don't know if you ever broke your hearing aids before, but I have.
Mm-hmm.
Like one time, my mom accidentally washed it in the washing machine, and
Oh, no.
weirdly, well, what happened? When I go to sleep, I put my hearing aid under my pillow,
Uh-huh.
and my mom wanted to wash my pillow, not knowing the hearing aid was in the pillowcase.
Oh,
So
no.
the weird thing about it is that my hearing aid did not work, but my Bluetooth still worked, and
Interesting.
and I don't know why, but it's useless. I'd rather lose the Bluetooth than actual hearing aid because I need it to anyway. So I didn't have hearing aid for I did have one hearing aid for 2 weeks, but when I put the hearing aid on, everything is really loud again. So
Yeah.
for you, is everything comfortable for you, or is it loud for you? How do you? Because when I put the hearing aid on, I would get a headache from it because my brain is not used to the sound. I mean, I also live in New York City, which is not a great environment for hearing for the first time in 2 weeks. But for you, does sound hurt you? I know you just said you take it out at the end of the day, but does it hurt you or give you headaches because we have different hearing capacities? I guess is the right phrasing.
Yeah, so when my hearing aids are out, it sounds like complete silence to me.
Mhm.
So you're in a quiet room, whatever. I hear nothing except if someone talked directly into my ear when I didn't have my
Mhm.
hearing aids in, I can hear it. And I could hear if someone broke glass, and I could probably hear maybe a gunshot or something, but I'm not going to be able to hear someone walking around or cooking
Yeah.
or just doing their average thing. But with my hearing aids in, I can hear most of the time with my hearing aids. I hear that a sound has happened. I just don't understand or recognize what that sound is. So someone walks into the room and they start talking to me. I hear noise, but my brain is just it doesn't know what that sound is. And usually it
Huh.
takes me physically turning around and seeing what that sound is for my brain to then understand, oh, someone walked into the room and they're now looking a little bit confused. They probably started talking to you and now they're waiting for your response. So it's very much my ears are there, but my eyes and all my other senses are overcompensating for that. And it's something that isn't natural. So it's not just because my hearing is bad doesn't mean that my eyes are immediately better. It's because I've learned to use my brain and learned to use my other senses, and now they're overcompensating for that.
It's interesting you say that because I do know from doing research on you that you had hearing aids basically from birth. So I feel like since you had it so early, your brain didn't have time to develop without hearing aids. It's interesting that like you mentioned before that if someone opened the door, you don't know someone opened the door. You have to physically look. So it's interesting how your brain developed differently than what how my brain developed.
Yeah, totally. And there's been studies showing that that's why if a child does get implanted with the cochlear implant, they advocate that it's as early as possible so that
Yeah.
before those neurons are developing for speech and language and hearing, that you're getting that child patterns ready with the implant rather than learning how to hear and then getting them implanted later. That's a whole other conversation. But the same thing with hearing loss or other things. The earlier you do it, the better, because then it's more beneficial later, because that's kind of the only thing you've ever known when it comes to that.
Yeah, so I just wonder how your brain has been rewired and it is something your brain was wired since you were like you came out of the womb, or is it rewired during the 1 to 2 years of you living on Earth? Because I don't.
Yeah, that's a really good. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not like a doctor or anything, but no, that's a
Yeah,
really good point that you bring up.
yeah, because it's hard to compare me and you because we kind of have different hearing loss and
Yeah.
the way we do things, and I don't know, like, it's hard to say, like, if I'm a luckier person or if I put myself in more stressful situation, I guess, where I force my brain to, like, be as, I guess, normal as possible in
Mhm.
terms of, like, hearing things. So, like, I'll give an example. So I know, like, when you were in school, you had, like, an FF system, so, like,
Yeah.
the teacher could talk to you, like, directly to your hearing aids. So, like,
Yeah.
have you ever experienced any bullying or anything like that?
Any what?
Bullying?
Not really. I was very lucky, honestly, and everyone was really accepting of my hearing loss. I had a great group of friends all throughout high school and college. I'm still friends with some of these people to this day. Love them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really great for me because in high school, sometimes a teacher would forget to turn on my microphone or they wouldn't enable the captioning. And would have friends in my classes because advocating for yourself gets really tiring to do it all day,
Oh,
every
that's
day,
awesome.
that they would just straight up raise their hand and be like, hey, you got to turn on the captioning for Katie and stuff. So I was really lucky that I had that support system because I know not every deaf child or just person with a disability has that. But then when I got to college, obviously you're starting from ground zero where you go to
Mm-hmm.
a school, yeah, you know a few people, but it's not really anything. And so that's really where I had to develop my own self-advocacy of the microphone's not on. Katie, you have to stand up in front of this 400-person lecture hall and just say, hey, you need to turn this on because you're not going to be able to hear otherwise. So college really forced me outside of my comfort zone with that self-advocacy, but I'm so thankful for it because it gave me that confidence to now have a platform on social media to be able to do it for myself.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like we have so many opposite experiences that's pretty funny. Like, I got bullied about using the FM system that I actually never used it. But on the bright side, I think it forced my brain to, like, be able to hear people better because, like, now I don't require any devices to help hear people except using my hearing aids. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I still have those, like, if we're in a really loud environment or especially if someone's talking to behind me and
Mm-hmm.
don't know if they're talking to behind me, then I'm not, like, actively listening. Like, if you tell me you're behind me, I'll, like, listen, but, like, I'm not actively listening.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if, I, I'll, like, will never know, but I wonder if me being bullied has forced me to, like, force my brain to, like, hear better. Because, like, when you're comforted a lot, like, you don't, like, I don't know, let's say everyone talks in the microphone for you, and you can hear better, but then it kind of ruins your hearing because you're so reliant on a piece of technology that, so I wonder if, like, if I'm better because of bullying.
Yeah.
It's hard to say now, like, I don't know, like,
No, I totally agree. And that just goes back to the whole training your brain with the resources that you have available
mhm,
conversation of you didn't use a mic and now in your environment that's something that works for you and you don't need it. Whereas me, I'm very reliant on that microphone. It's good for me, but then I find that I fatigue faster because I don't have it. So
mm,
that's also could be a reason why maybe you don't have that listening fatigue. It's because your brain is so used to having everything at the same volume and the same everything. But me, I have like something a little better when it comes to using that microphone. So then when I don't
mhm.
have it, my brain's like, nope, shut down. I'm tired. I'm done. No more listening for the day. It's just, I mean, this is purely speculation, but that could be.
No, yeah, I mean, I think this whole episode would just be a speculation and
Yeah.
just guessing of, like, what happened with ourselves. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's interesting just to, yeah, like, I do believe, like, we can train our brain to do a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm always in that, oh, we can do better. And, I mean, like, with, like, we talked about, like, the speech impediment that, like, like, I speak really well, and that's great. But I also kind of apply myself to other people. It's like, why are you not speaking well? Because, like, I was able to do, 15 years of speech therapy, and it's like, I don't understand there are people that can't overcome their speech impediment
Mhm.
or what for whatever reason, but I sometimes think there are some people that just don't want to put in the work, or they don't think they should put in the work, and they just, it's easier to accept, I guess, like I don't know if the word is minor defeat, or just accept the way they are, and like they're good enough that they don't want to do anymore, because I'm more of a perfectionist. So like I want to strive for, like, getting the A's and all that, and some people are just happy, getting a B in class and such. And so I'm always, well, there's always that conflict thing of like, are they doing enough work, or is it just happy with a healthy medium?
Yeah, I mean, there's a very fine line between it all, and at the end of the day, it really just comes down to personal preference, and if that's how they choose to live their life, you do. I'm very much a you do you type of person. If it works for you and you're happy, so be it. Do what you have with what you have. But if it doesn't work for you, that's also fine too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also tricky when you're like 10, 15 years old, because I don't know about you, but like I thought I was the shit and everything, and like, but like the real world doesn't hit you, like you don't know how real the world is until you're like submerged into it. So like I'm grateful for like that conversation with my speech therapist that like you need to really work on this, or the later you wait, the harder it is to like help yourself, because it's like a habit. Like if you talk one way, you're not gonna talk a different way. You gotta really like compound it. You gotta do all your. Well, let's talk about your speech therapy. So like, how long have you been doing speech therapy for?
I did it from. I'm probably gonna get this wrong. I did this from. I want to say. So I was adopted at 7 months old. Got my first hearing aids at 9 months. I believe my mom put me into speech therapy right away, just because she adopted me, had no idea that I was going to have hearing loss, brought me back to the U.S., and we're like, hearing aids, and obviously if you're a single mom, you just found out that your kid has a disability, you're going to listen to the doctors and whatever, because you have to do what you think is in the best interest of your child, and the doctors just really encourage, let's try hearing aids, if that doesn't work, we'll do cochlear implants when she's 2, and then get her into speech therapy right away. And that's what we did, and it ended up working, and it turned out fine. So it worked out. And then I did speech therapy up until I want to say 4th or 5th grade. And then I was very much like, I'm done with this. I'm out. I don't really care if I don't sound as perfect as you want me to. And I was already growing more like into being comfortable with my hearing loss, that I just kind of decided, if I sound a little deaf or I don't sound perfect, I don't care, because being deaf is who I am. I'm going to embrace that. There's nothing wrong with how I sound. I'm done. And my mom, being a very much, I want Katie to make her own decisions within reason, because, again, I was probably like 10 at this point. But she was like, no, if Katie wants to go back to speech therapy later, she can totally do that. But I just never did. And here I am at 23, and I'm fine with the way I sound. I don't think if I ended up sounding more deaf later or something, I don't think I would go back, because it's not something that I view as a negative thing about myself. But what about you?
I actually been in speech therapy till I was like 17. So like I took a lot. So it took me a lot. I think a lot of it was just more like I didn't want to like really commit to speaking better. But I will say that my speech was, like, your speech is pretty good. I would say like it's 98% there. I don't have any problem I don't have any problem misunderstanding you, which is awesome. But like me in 5th grade, I had a lot more speech problems. So like I was a lot, like I needed more of the work. So like when you say 5th grade, I'm like, oh no. But like hearing you talk, I think you're pretty good at most people could understand you. But like I needed that much work, much more work, and so I needed a lot more work to work on my speech impediment. So like yeah, and the other part is that I didn't think I needed to work, so I didn't put actual effort into it till my later years. But also I'm one of those people that need to be like treated kind of like not yelled at, but kind of like talked down and have like a reality check to like really hit me, not just like it's not just constant praise and all that. I need that reality check for me to change anything. And so like my last speech therapist gave me the reality gave me that reality check and like really helped me get better and such. And so I'm really grateful for her because she helped me a lot, doing this podcast and talk, talking to people and all that. But yeah, it's interesting to hear everyone's progressiveness of speech because there are people that are speech therapy so later in life and they're still working on it. So I don't know. It's hard to say if it's like, are they working hard enough or their speech impediment is so severe that it's hard to go back to a hearing capacity that will pass as normal. It's really, it's so frustratingly hard that I can't, I can't relate to you and you can't relate to me in any way. 'Cause we're both deaf, but we're so different too.
Yeah, and that all just goes back to everybody's different. Everybody has a different life experience, even though, we both have hearing loss and whatever. We both still have a very different lived experience because of it, because we went through different things and all of that. And it just goes back to, disability isn't one size fits all. Not everybody needs the same accommodations and services, even if they do have the same disability, and that we should like respect other people's differences. And that's a huge part of me having my platform online is, let's say I do share a story related to my hearing loss. I always say, just because I had this experience doesn't mean everybody else also did. So not just because I'm one deaf person that you see online doesn't mean that I speak for all deaf people and that I have the same experience as everyone else. And the same with you and stuff like that. It's really important that other people know that disability isn't one size fits all.
Yeah, I think you have much more relatable content to more deaf users. I don't really meet many deaf people, so I can't really say for sure. But I think more people are more similar to you, like have the minor speech impediment and like the difficulty hearing loss and the brain fatigue because I can relate to that. I can't dismiss that either because then that would just be shitty of me. So I think you should create more relatable content because I think more people are similar to you that I can never
Yeah.
relate to. And I wouldn't say unfortunate, but that's just kind of the reality of things, and I can't fault anyone for that. Good that we can both have our different platforms. Like, yeah, I can say I'm deaf, but
Yeah.
like I'm good enough that I can pass as normal, whereas you do need like the closed captioning system and like to lip read and all, and you need the different helpful tools, and I do totally understand that. So I don't know. I know I'm deaf, but like I don't feel like I'm a good voice for it. Like I can talk. Like from our conversation together, I can say, oh, I know like you can have fatigue and such, but it doesn't really hit. It hits differently when someone actually understands it, rather than saying it. Like I do understand it, but like I don't fully understand it. If that makes sense.
No, I get what you mean, but that also just goes back to the idea that I like to promote of no matter how deaf you feel or how deaf you are, if you have hearing loss, you are deaf enough. And what you need, your services, your accommodations, hearing aids, whatever it may be that you need to thrive in this world, that's all enough. Don't let someone, just because you have a different experience than me or you don't feel deaf enough, don't let that prevent you from feeling deaf enough, because everybody with hearing loss is valid, no matter what level that you have and what you use.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm a good role model not really role model, but like someone to look up to because everyone has a different, I guess, like ceiling of sorts. And I feel like you have a much more realistic ceiling, the way you talk and the way you hear, than me because I feel like I'm kind of near the top at past as normal that I think there are people that just can't achieve no matter how hard they work, and I just don't want to give them the false hope of that if they don't see what I have achieved, then like I didn't put in the work or I'm a failure, and so I don't think I'm a great example for someone to look up to as a realistic
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, not as like a, oh, I'm insecure and all that. I think just think as a realistic. I mean, it's great that like, oh, here's this guy, Joe Suits, that can speak really well and he's deaf. And I think that's great as an example, but I think for many people, I don't want to be the bar because then I think most people can reach that bar, and then I don't want you to think like, oh, I can't speak like him, so now I'm a failure. I'm like, no, we just have different circumstances, and I think we can speak
Yeah.
for insecurity in the disability world that, oh, I'm not this person, and like, oh, I did work hard or something, so I feel like I'm not a great person to look
Yeah.
up to.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what you, again, like I said, everybody's different. Everybody has different views on how they view themselves and if they want to be a role model. If not, for me, I've always known, just because growing up, there weren't really any deaf people in the media, or there were. I mean, there was Niall DeMarco and Marley Mann, but they both sign. But there weren't really any deaf people in the media that used listening and spoken language and used hearing aids or cochlear implants. And so I decided I want to be that
Hmm.
person for other people. I want to be that role model for children and parents to come to and look up to and realize a person with hearing loss that has hearing aids can do it too, even if that's not the conventional version of deaf that you see in the media.
Yeah, I think it is the person has to like kind of look at themselves and see like what is possible. Like maybe they might not know, but like maybe the speech therapist will can maybe under. I think every speech therapist can know what your the best you can do with your ability. So like when I
Yeah,
had my
yeah,
speech classes, like if I talked really slow and stuff, I talked really well, and so like the teacher could say like it's possible because I see you doing this. So like that could be like so you could start talking faster and talk normally. So I think they can see what your top goal is. But
yeah,
yeah, but I think you just gotta look in yourself. It's like what is possible. Like you can get like 20% better. Like it's unrealistic that you're gonna be 100% better. But I think it's just you just gotta look for that someone relatable to you. But I also would want to be realistic with people too. Like I don't want to disappoint. The last thing I want you to feel insecure about yourself because I'm doing things. Um, I speak well, great, but like I just don't want people to feel like shit. That's really, I mean, just be realistic of what you can do with your body. Like I'll bring up a
yeah,
different example. Like so, you're a power lifter, and like women are usually not as strong as men, but like I'm a man and you're a woman, and you can probably
yeah,
kick my ass because like okay, like there's nothing I can do about that. Like you're just stronger than me, and like you're much stronger than me. Like crazy.
yeah. I mean, I also think it's important to be realistic with what, like you're saying, with abilities and stuff. For example, I can't go around water with my hearing aids in; they'll break if I go in with water. So I know I probably shouldn't be a lifeguard or something. If someone's screaming like, "Hey, I need help," whatever, chances are, well, one, if I have my hearing aids out, I'm not gonna be able to hear them, and I can't go into the water with my hearing aids. And two, even when they're in, I don't know if I'd be able to hear them. So that's just one example of knowing realistically
Wait,
what
you
you
don't
can and
go in the
can't
rain with
do.
your hearing aids?
I can't get them wet. So, I mean, they make waterproof ones, but I just
Oh,
don't like the way
I
that
go
the
out in the
sound
rain with my
quality
hearing
is.
aids. Like I don't go in. No, my hearing aids are not waterproof or water resistant or whatever. But like
Hmm.
I still go out in the rain. They can get like a little wet. But they can't be like you going swimming in them. But you can go in rain
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah, but like, let's say I'm a lifeguard or whatever, and I'm
Well,
trying to save
yeah.
someone's life. Chances are I have to go underwater to do that, and I need to be able to hear. So I'm just saying that's like just one example of you have to be realistic too with what you can and can't do. And again, bringing in the whole like ADA and reasonable accommodations, the key word being reasonable accommodations. I know realistically I probably shouldn't take a job that requires 90% of me answering the phone because I can't hear on the phone. Just so there's just stuff like that too, that again, that becomes better with time and you realize, okay, this is a good fit for me, this isn't, and whatnot. But that's just something else to consider too, of what's realistic with what you can and can't do.
Should we recreate your listening help? What are things that you don't like hearing out loud?
What do you mean by that?
So like, I'll give an example. So like, a party would be a listening help for you.
I'm trying to think what else. Like a noisy cafeteria, like school lunch, for example, could never hear what anyone was saying at the table ever. So I would just sit there with like my little sandwich being like, oh yeah, I totally know what's going on, everybody. And then, nope, no idea what anyone's saying.
I'll add to that, as in, I think there's something wrong with my hearing aid, but I have difficulty hearing announcements on the speaker.
Same.
And that's really
Yeah, at the airport,
frustrating.
if they change my gate, yeah, nope.
I haven't been to an airport, so I can't think of an airport, but I was at a runway show and they made an announcement on, and I could not hear for some reason. It's very weird though, because I couldn't hear it live in person, but I recorded it for my video blog, and when I played it back, I was able to hear it, so it's very weird.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try that.
so I don't know. Well, I mean, also, well, I guess I could ask you. So, I actually already know the answer, but like when you were in class, but you couldn't hear things if they're talking like normal. But when they have the FF system or whatever they call it these days, I don't think it's FF anymore. I think it's Bluetooth.
It's not. I still call it that though. It's forever and
it's
consistent in my brain. But
it's old school now. Like, what do they call it now? Bluetooth? Wireless?
yeah.
Well, so like, I mean, I answered the question that you hear a lot better when they have this speaker or whatever in front of their face, so you can hear them well, and kind of a little creepy that they're talking normally and in your hearing aid where no one else can hear, you know? It's kind of like they're talking to you directly.
Yeah, but it's like an added bonus. I mean, it would be funny sometimes my friends would, like, I'd forget or something that the teacher had the FM system, and I would go to the next class, and someone would speak into it and be like, Katie, come back to class. You've forgotten your microphone or whatever. And I'm like, whoa, what was that? And I'd, like, turn around and run back in. But there would be, like, other times in class discussions, for example, they'd pass it around, and obviously if you're in, like, high school, kids are still immature, and they'd make, like, farting noises in it, or they'd, like, whack the microphone or, like, breathe really loudly into it. But it was all in good fun. They weren't being mean or anything, but it was just one of those livens up the class moments to break up the academics. But there's definitely been moments where, not that people abuse it, but they're like, oh, let me be funny and, like, make a joke or breathe loudly or something like that. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But there was, like, one instance where I had a teacher who sneezed so loud, like, so loud. And they would sneeze all class, and every time they would, I'd be like, this is so loud. But other than that, like, it was fine. But
yeah, I never thought of the major one that I can... there's nothing you can do to, like, stop it. You know, it's like, it's coming and you gotta embrace it.
Yeah, but there's another funny story is obviously the range of the microphone is pretty decent, so if someone goes outside of the classroom but they stay in the hallway pretty close, I can still hear what was going on. And there'd be a lot of instances where a student would do something bad. This was like second grade. A student would do something bad, and the teacher would be like, all right, let's go in the hallway. I have to reprimand you now. But they would still be wearing the microphone, and they wouldn't turn it off. So I'm in the classroom, the cool kid, hearing literally everything that's going on, giving everybody the scoop of what's going on, and they're just in the hallway, like, laying into the student. And at one point, people would literally come around because it was so loud in my ears that if you put your ear next to it, you could hear. So I would have, like, 10 people just, like, on my head with their ears to me, also listening into this conversation. And this would happen, and then the student and the teacher would come back into the classroom, and everyone's like congregated around me being like, what's going on? And they'd come back, realize what was happening, and be like, oh my god. And then every time after that, the teacher would take the microphone off, physically put it on their desk, and then go outside with the student.
No.
But it was good while it lasted.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. I wish you got like some gossip or something. Like something.
Oh yeah, I was like the cool kid. Like I had all the info, all the tea that anybody needed for anything. Like, oh, what'd they say this time? I got you. I can tell you. So.
Yeah, I have it. Like my phone is connected to my hearing aids, so like when there's a phone call, it goes directly to my hearing aids. So like sometimes.
Same.
Like so when I was at the runway show, I didn't have my phone on me, and so like if she wanted to just relay a message to me, she just had to call my phone, pick up, say something, so I just hear it, and then like hang up.
That's smart.
Like I don't have enough. I mean, I would totally like fuck with people, but I don't have any like fun enough friends or like they're not really aware of my hearing abilities with the phone that they don't take advantage of it. So it'd be really cool to like.
That's kind of good though, that like people can't mess with you that way.
I mean, I want people to. I don't know. I feel like it's more. It's not that you don't mess with me, but I just feel like it's a natural thing of like, oh, here's just something else I can do to fuck with this person. You know, kind of like, I don't know, let's say, you know, it's kind of like finding they're afraid of snakes. So like, you know, the next time there's a snake, like you chase them around with a snake, you know, because it's funny. Like obviously, like to an extent, but like there's something like that. And but like I can bring it back to you, like when you were with your boyfriend and the game was on, and like he wanted to listen to the game too, so he wore your hearing aids, and I'm like, that's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was funny, but it was also like me sitting there in silence in the car because one of my hearing aids was dead too. So he took my good ear, the ear that I could hear with, and he goes, no, I want to listen to the game. Physically takes my hearing aid out of my ear, and then he tries to put it on, but it's too loud for him, obviously. So he has to like take it and physically put the mold behind his ear and whatever. And then I'm just sitting there in the car like, how's the game? Let me know what's going on, because I know. But it was all funny and whatever, and then he gave it back to me.
You like Chipotle or I don't know, whatever you like to compensate.
Yeah, but it was just like, give me my hearing aid back. I wouldn't take your glasses if they were dead, like whatever. But it was really funny.
No, I mean it's good. Like you know, like using the technology to your advantage. Like I would love to share it too. Like you know, like for music or anything. Are your hearing aids battery powered or are they rechargeable?
Batteries. I am a very big advocate for battery. I don't love the rechargeable because I like travel a lot, so I don't like having to bring the like battery recharger thing with me when I can just have packs of hearing aid batteries like anywhere I could possibly be. So it's more convenient for me to have the batteries.
They also last a very, very long time, surprisingly. I don't know how, but
2 weeks for me, which
I know,
is great.
but that's like unbelievable. Like our phone lasts, you know, maybe a day, like 2 days if you really want to touch it. But like hearing aid batteries have been pretty solid for a long time. Like 2 weeks is really, really good.
Yeah, and when I was younger, they're called size 13, and they were the orange tab, which are much smaller, and those ones only lasted, those ones only lasted 3 or 4 days for me, but since I got new hearing aids, they take new batteries, so they take the 675, which is the blue, the bigger flat one. Yeah, and those last 2 weeks, which is wild for me. I've never had that before, so it's so great. But it's almost bad because now I forget to bring batteries with me wherever I go. And then I have the situation of one of my hearing aids dies, so then my boyfriend takes my other one to listen to sports. But what can you do?
I bring a fanny pack with me, and I always bring batteries with me just as a safekeeping.
Yeah.
Because you
that's
just never know what's going to happen.
If you remember. Yeah, I mean, if you remember to put them in the fanny, you can have them with you. But if you forget,
I did keep a separate bag just for forever all the time. It's just that I do get a little bit afraid that they're in my fanny pack all the time, and like I had like lotions, and they like melt. So I'm always a little afraid that the batteries might smell, but I think they're okay. 'Cause usually it's never really on my chest, more on my back, and so it's always like shaded. But yeah, I always keep a set of batteries just with me just all the time because they just seem they just
Yeah.
seem to die at like the best worst case scenario on the planet, you know? Like when something that where you really need batteries or you need your hearing aid to like live for, your hearing aids are like, nope, we're just gonna die like, right here, right now. Good luck.
Yeah.
Salute to you. You know.
I mean, when I graduated college, I think I made a TikTok about this, and right before I left to go walk across the stage, I changed my hearing aid batteries because I was like, I refuse to have my hearing aid die and not be able to hear my name as I walk across the stage.
Oh.
So it's kind of like changing your hearing aid batteries for deaf people before you leave the house is equivalent to like making sure you go to the bathroom before you leave or making sure that you have a snack before you leave. It's changing your battery so that it doesn't die.
Yeah, they barely give you. I don't know. You have different company hearing aids, so I don't know like what your protocol is that tells you when it dies. But mine doesn't really give me any heads up. It gives me like a 10-minute
Nick-
heads up, and it's like that's not
Nope.
enough time. I need like a day or something. No, that
Yeah,
I
I
know.
also made a video about this. Yeah, and I was like, it died, or it gave like, it gives the warning sound, but the warning sound could either be 3 hours, it could be 12 hours, it could be 3 days, or whatever. So whenever the warning
But then
sound
you forget
happens, I
about it
just
too.
change it.
You forget about it too, like when I
Oh,
get home, I'm
totally.
gonna change the batteries, and then yeah, you totally could forget.
Yeah, totally. Because I'm like, oh, okay, warning sound, I'm probably fine. And then I leave my house, and I don't have batteries with me, because I forget. And I'm like, oh no,
Or
now I
does
can't
it
hear.
show on your
Oh.
phone how much battery you have?
Not for mine, no.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah, but are we talking about hearing aid batteries or phone battery now?
Hearing aid battery, it can tell you how much
My
battery
hearing
you
aid
have.
doesn't. I have the iPhone, but I have the phone app hearing aids, and they don't tell me how much battery I have left.
I can't say for sure, but I believe it might be able to tell you how much battery power you have.
Ooh,
If you go on,
I'm gonna
yeah,
look
if
into
you want to
that.
go on your phone. I don't know, you might lose the captioning though, so you want me to try teach you how to do it now?
Yeah, what is it?
So if you go on your home, if you're on the home screen, and then you swipe
Yeah.
right to like the screen on the left, like the little widget,
Oh yes.
add a widget of batteries, and you might be able to see like your hearing aid battery levels.
I don't see it. Hold on, let me go.
Because there's like a battery widget, and there's a battery widget for like how much battery
No, I
power
see
your
that.
iPhone has, and if you have like headphones, like AirPods, it will tell you. I have one for my hearing aid. I don't know if it would appear for you, but it might appear.
I don't think mine connect, or would be lovely if my phone connected that much to my hearing aids, but I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna look this up after this though, because that would be literally life changing if it told me how much time I
Are
actually have
you
left to
are
hear.
you able to change your input of your hearing aid through your phone at all?
Am I able
Change
to
the
what?
input? Because like on mine, I have different inputs, so like there's an option for like like have telecoil or something, and you have to switch to the
I
mode.
see what you mean.
I have one for like if I'm listening to music. There's one. There are different modes. I have one where like it has if I'm in a loud environment, it does this speech thing where like it like lowers the background noise and like somehow upscale speech sound. I don't know how they do it. And
Oh, I know what you're
so
talking
like
about.
I'm
Yeah.
able to change the settings through my phone. And But I also have a problem where everything is too low for me. I kind of like noise because I live in New York City and when it's quiet, it doesn't like sit well
Mhm.
with me. But so
Mhm.
I don't know your company, so I don't know. But it is possible on my phone I can see how much battery life I have on my phone.
I'm gonna look into that because that would be cool.
Yeah, I feel like something that they would have told you that when you first got them, so I don't know. But I also have different
Yeah.
hearing aids. So there's two Bluetooth like technologies for hearing aids. So there's like
Mhm.
a regular Bluetooth and there's like the low power Bluetooth. So my hearing aid is low
Mhm.
power Bluetooth, and I think that helps
Mhm.
extend the hearing aid battery life. And
Ah.
but the thing is, my hearing aid only works with iPhones because the iPhone has like a special chip of some kind for low power hearing aids, and Android does not.
Mhm.
So I don't know with different companies, but it'd be awesome for you to if it's available. Like if other
Yeah.
headphones
I
can tell
mean,
you your
I know.
battery power, like why shouldn't your hearing aids?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's just the brand of hearing aids that I have and that connectivity just isn't there. But do you, I don't know if you know of these things, but it was like a little box thing and it had a meter reader and you would put your hearing aid battery. Oh, you could put your hearing aid battery in it and it would tell you if the battery was like high, medium, or low. But you'd have to physically take the battery
Uh,
out and go get this little machine and then it
well, I
would do it
wouldn't I
for you.
wouldn't call it like
But
machine though. You're hearing it too much. Pretty like it, but with like a little like keychain meter, I think, right? Like keychain, like and
mhm.
it would like tell you kind of. But I haven't used those in ages really. Um, I did kind of like if I see my like on my phone, if I see my phone at like 20%, I'll change the batteries.
Mhm.
What I
Mhm.
used to do before, I used to actually calculate how many days my hearing aid batteries would die. So like so let's
Mhm.
say I replace the batteries and on Monday morning they're brand new, I would see how many days it lasted. So my old
Mm.
hearing aid batteries would go from Monday and it will last to the next Thursday. So every
Wow.
Wednesday night I would change my batteries just to avoid
Mhm.
shutting down of the hearing aid battery because I don't know about you, but when I was younger, you know, I I had days where my hearing aid my hearing aid batteries would die within class. So like I wouldn't,
Mhm.
like now we're like conscious about it, but like I wouldn't say anything, for some
Mhm.
dumb reason. So like I wouldn't have backup or anything. So like I just wouldn't hear for the rest of the day, or my mom would have to like come and get me and replace the batteries. So when I got
Mhm.
older, I got more conscious of, changing the batteries and, more adult roles, So I calculated it, but now, I don't know why, but I just wait till I get to 20% on that tells me on my phone, and I just change the batteries. Like, I don't, it could be the middle of the day,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to risk being in a situation where you can't hear. So I would rather change it early and lose that day of power or whatever it
wait, do
is
you
when
have
it
a
gets
better
that low
ear?
and just my okay, this is weird because I have always thought that my left ear is my better ear, but every audiologist that I've had has always told me that my right ear is my better ear.
Huh.
So I don't know
Wait,
what's going on
hold on,
there.
are you a lefty or are you a righty?
According to medical and science, my right ear is my better ear,
No,
but
no, are you
personally,
a
I feel like I
lefty or
hear
righty
better.
with your hands?
What do you mean?
Like, do you
Like,
write with your left hand or do you write with your right hand?
I write with my right
Oh,
hand.
because sometimes they think that like, if you pick up a phone and you pick it up on one ear, that becomes your like better ear because you use that ear more often. So that's
Interesting.
interesting. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, I never talked on the phone when I was little. I always had my mom handle that because deaf, so can't hear on the phone.
Oh,
But
huh,
yeah,
that's weird. I wonder if you used your
yeah,
left ear
interesting.
more growing up that maybe your brain developed better hearing.
Yeah, who knows? But Yeah, I've always thought my left was my better.
Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, my right ear,
Yeah.
I think of the same situation as you. That I think my left ear is on paper better, but my right ear I feel like it's better hearing.
Interesting. So we're opposite
Yeah,
that way.
but like sometimes it might. So like at night, like when I'm in bed, I actually only wear one hearing aid because I'll be lying on one side and lying on the hearing aid is not as comfortable. So I take one out, so I'm
Mhm.
always on one side. So my right ear will be
Mhm.
with the hearing aid. So like my hearing aid batteries would die at different times because I might be in bed for like 2 hours with hearing aids and over a week that adds up.
Yeah.
So if my right hearing aid battery dies, I switch the batteries. So at least I can still
Mm.
hear with a better ear.
I've done that.
Yeah,
Totally.
because it's just a
Yeah.
better use of your sources.
Yeah. I mean, you don't ever want to be without any, but if one, I should have done that when my boyfriend took my hearing aid. I should have been like, nope, sorry, this is my good ear. I need to hold on to that. But because it was my good ear that died, I just gave him my bad ear. But I should have just switched them and whatever. But can't do anything about that.
And thanks to the conversation, I know how to switch batteries.
Yeah.
Something that interesting, I kind of connecting the dots with you is that, so you say that your hearing has gotten worse, and I do notice that it gotten worse based on your hearing aid usage because when you were talking about the batteries and the battery sizes, you used to have a smaller hearing aid, but now that your hearing loss has been more severe, you had to upgrade to a more severe, to a larger hearing aid for more hard
Yeah.
of hearing people because that's the next step up. So
Yeah. And even like the 675 batteries, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure those can also be used for cochlear implants, which is a really, really high powered device if you don't use the ones that had the rechargeable batteries. So that makes sense too, that the older I've gotten, the more stronger of a hearing aid that I need and the stronger of a battery I need
yeah, I
too.
don't like it to be rechargeable. I think they only last like a day and a half or 2 days. Boy, that's not.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's very convenient to like to put your hearing aids on like a dock or something, but like I'd rather have 2 weeks and like a 30-second pause in life to change batteries than to putting it on a dock. You know, like 2 weeks is really impressive. Like
Yeah.
I wish my hearing aid. I wish mine could last 2 weeks. That would be really convenient.
Mm-hmm. There'd be a lot of things that we could do that would be really convenient, but
Yeah, but since that they were talking about Bluetooth hearing aids, they're getting the hearing aids. Isn't getting new hearing aid kind of a very weird experience because kind of like we hear things, but like it's it's like the same sound, but it sounds different. If that makes sense.
yeah.
It's a very like weird feeling almost like everything sounds the same, but like everything sounds different. Like you almost kind of have to get like used to the way things sound again. How that happened to you?
Yeah. I mean, and that's why it's so important to make sure that like your brain is able to recognize and catalog different sounds and different environments or just anything like that. Just making sure that your brain can understand based on different environments. And if you're using Bluetooth, if you're not, if you're, recording something and you can hear it when you play it back, but not in person, all of that. And that just goes back to being able to adapt to your environment and do what you can with what you have.
Yeah, I don't like the room that they use to test your hearing though because obviously you have to be really, really quiet, but it's so quiet that it's almost like I know that we take our hearing aids out where it's kind of like pretty quiet, but there's something about the room where it's super quiet and you can almost hear like your heartbeat. Like it's like a very weird, crazy kind of silence, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I love it when I can't like I said, when I just take my hearing aids out and everything's completely quiet and nothing, I would imagine for a lot of people that's a really scary concept to
Yeah,
think
I'm
about
scared by it.
too, which totally makes sense. But at the end of the day, yes, I can hear with my hearing aid, but hearing nothing at all is really my baseline. So for me, that's normal. Where for me, it would almost be weird if I could take out my hearing aids and hear everything at once. So that it just, again, goes back to what you're used to, what you grew up with, what your baseline is, because everybody's baseline is different.
Yeah, you can't get over the fact that you take your hearing aids out as a relaxing measure because, I don't know, I don't know, you can't get over it for some reason, but I mean, I do totally understand, like, your brain is tired and you just don't want to think anymore, so you just take them out, but it's so tricky to me, though.
Again, everybody's different. Like for me, that's normal. I enjoy it, but I totally get why other people will be like, nope, not for me. But
Well,
it's just everybody's different.
I, well, we talked about, like, brain, like, have you ever accidentally walked into the shower? Have you ever accidentally walked into the shower with your hearing aids and you, like, I don't walk into my shower without my hearing aids, but when I do walk in, it's so fucking loud to me that it almost hurts my ears because I'm just not used to shower
I
being so
mean,
loud.
I've kind of it's been ingrained in my brain of water equals bad, water equals danger when it comes to my hearing aids. So I've only ever walked into the shower like once with my hearing aids in, and that was only because I wasn't planning on washing my hair that day, so I had a shower cap on, and I was like, why is the shower so loud?
Yeah.
Like, did the sound just
It's weird,
magically
right?
increase in my shower overnight? Yeah, it was weird. And then I'm like, feeling around, I'm like, oh, I didn't take my hearing aids out. That's why I can hear. I like, forgot I was deaf for a minute. But yeah, I prefer no hearing aids in the shower. Although it would be nice to listen to music when I do that. But I'm okay with not. That's something I've made peace with. That I'm not going to be able to have a shower concert, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder, I mean, I guess you could buy like waterproof headphones and just wear the waterproof headphones and just be in the shower. Have you ever
That
tried that? I don't know.
I have not. I'm wondering if I should, but I'm also just so used to showering
I
without
think you would
being
not
to
like the
hear that.
music though. I think you kind of enjoy your silence almost. I mean, my showers are very like
Yeah,
peaceful, and I mean, I love
yeah,
music. Like, I listen to music. I listen to so much more music now with the Bluetooth headphones, but my
yeah,
shower is kind of my like time to where like think about like all the times where I could have said this thing and like did I miss
yeah,
the flirting signal or like or oh I could have said this in a comeback and like my time to think and sometimes I'm in there for like 15 minutes and it's like oh shit like I've been here for a while like let me get out.
yeah. It's like your Zen internal
Mhm.
therapy session, whatever. I'd rather not add more or what's the word, variables to
Mhm.
that. So maybe eventually, if I'm really in like my I want to sing, I want to belt music era,
Mhm.
but for the most part, I would say I'm gonna stick to my showers being deaf, and that's gonna be the thing I roll with. But
Yeah, now I'm kind of curious. You should try it. You should try headphones to see how it works because I mean, sound 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 very different. To my hearing aid versus wearing like headphones
yeah,
because it's like a it's like a more raw sound thing. But you
yeah,
also don't hear all the sound that comes out of headphones because your brain can
yeah,
compute, I guess is the right word. So you're missing a lot
totally.
of, I'm sure you feel, well, actually, now that I think of it, I know you
Hmm.
have high frequency hearing loss. With that being said, are you glad you're not gay because you don't have to listen to a woman's voice versus a guy's voice?
No, I mean, it's easier for me to hear women for me, it's weird. Even though I do have high frequency loss, and sometimes high frequency sounds are harder for me to hear because men talk really gravelly sometimes. The deepness of it doesn't sound as clear to me, but with my hearing loss, the more that I talk to someone and the more that I understand their voice, the easier it is for me to hear. So I would say my mom, who's obviously female, and my boyfriend, who's male, those are the two people that it's easiest for me to hear because those are the people that I talk to most. So it's really just a matter of how often am I interacting with them, how used to the sound of their voice am I, the way that they speak, because everybody speaks differently and stuff like that. So I don't think it really has any impact on anything, but there definitely have been like professors that I've had that are men that I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying at all because you just speak so deep. But that's just how they talk and whatever, but yeah.
Okay. I do find women voices easier to sound in a loud environment because their voices are more different than the rest of the sounds most of the time for me.
Yeah.
Where men's voices seem to blend more and sometimes harder to hear.
Yeah, and also men, I mean, most women don't have facial hair too, so like if a man has a really, like a beard that goes, or a mustache that goes down over their mouth, or like they have a really thick beard that's covering most of their face, that's also obscuring my ability to lip read with them, so that's also something that to take into account. You wouldn't think that facial hair would make it difficult to understand someone, but if you're like in your Santa era or something, it definitely makes it a little hard. But most people don't have that, so.
No, totally understandable. I totally get it. I mean, you have problems that I would never come across, and I think that's great that we're having this conversation. So before I take the mic away from you, is there anything you want to say, promote any words of wisdom, the winning lottery numbers? The mic is all yours.
I would say to anybody out there who is growing up with hearing loss or you have hearing loss and you don't feel that you have a place in this world because of whatever reason, you are deaf enough. Everything that you are experiencing, no matter how much hearing loss you do have or don't have, your experiences are valid. If you need accommodations, don't be afraid to ask for them. And you do you. Keep rocking. And that's your life. Live it.
Okay, thank you, Katie, so much for giving me your time and expertise. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching, and I'll see everyone next time. Peace.